Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel, Knits by Mandy, where you don't have to knit a sweater for your uncle if you don't want to. It is the first week of November, and for some people that signifies the beginning of the holiday season. Some folks put their Christmas trees up, start decorating for Christmas and the winter holidays. You might not find me doing that. However, if you are a knitter, it is a great time to start thinking about any gift knits that you're planning to do in time for Christmas or the winter holidays. I've been knitting gifts for Christmas and other occasions for the past 4 years, and I'm definitely not unfamiliar with those last minute trips to the craft store to buy yarn and knit up some gifts like in the week leading up to Christmas. This video will be your guide to help avoid those last minute projects. I'll also share some tips to gift knitting that I've learned over the years and also share completely free patterns that you can use for your gift knitting this year. Before we get into all the gift knitting goodness, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. I know it's only November, but a new year is very close and ahead of us, and it provides a whole new opportunity for goal setting and envisioning what we want the next year to look like. I've recently been taking a course on Skillshare called Designing the Life You Want: 4 exercises for clarity and motivation. In this class, they take you through some intentional reflection and visioning exercises to help you feel inspired, motivated, and create clarity in your life. I've recently found myself kind of in this transitional phase of deciding what I want to do next, especially in my professional life, and I'm also about to get married next year, so there's a lot of big changes going on in my life right now. I found myself drawn towards these kind of visioning activities or self-help books, and what I really like about this class and all Skillshare classes is they have a learn by doing approach. In this class, that means there's a downloadable workbook that you can fill out while you're watching all of the class videos. If you're unaware, Skillshare is the largest online community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and so much more. Skillshare can help you take your career, skills, hobbies, passions, or side hustles to the next level. I've been working with Skillshare for a few months now, and I'm blown away by the variety of different classes that you can take on the platform. If you're interested in starting a new hobby, there are lots of classes in the fiber arts, but also in drawing, illustration, digital art as well. Or if you're focused on starting a business, productivity, there's so many different classes that you can start to either upskill or learn something new on Skillshare. This fall, they also released some exciting improvements, including smarter class categories. They've also improved your ability to find classes by software and material. At the beginning of your membership with Skillshare, you can fill out a short questionnaire and Skillshare will suggest courses catered just to you. If sounds interesting to you and you'd like to join me in my never-ending learning journey, first 500 people to click on my link will get a free month trial of Skillshare Premium, so you can go ahead and get started today. Thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. So let's get into the gift knitting. First, I'll start you off with a few of my guiding tenets for gift knitting to make sure that you just have the most enjoyable experience. And then we'll take a little retrospective from all of the things I've gift knit in the past, from kind of easiest to most involved. I've created a list of free knitting patterns that correspond to each of those categories, so you have a ton of options to pick from when it comes to making your own gifts this winter. Hello, Editing Amanda here. I filmed this video the week of the election, the Monday of election week last week, and I'm just getting around to finally editing it because I honestly couldn't find parts of me to care enough, and it was just kind of hard to watch me right before. It's hard to describe. Anyway, I was definitely a little scatterbrained while making this, and I made the creative choice of not saying the pattern name or designer for any of the patterns that I rounded up. You can find them in the description in the Ravelry bundle, and I'm putting up graphics as well with the pictures and names and the designers' names. So the information is there. I'm just not saying it out loud. Again, don't know why I did that. I mean, I do know why, but it's kind of too late to redo it. So anyway, enjoy the video. I am definitely very much still reeling from the results, and I felt like I had to mention it, but we'll get back into the video. So I think the biggest fear when it comes to gift knitting is putting in so much hard work and dedication and time to making a hand knit item, a handmade item for a loved one or a friend or a coworker, and they just aren't as appreciative as you want them to be. I think that can be a common experience for knitters. Maybe as early on, we were maybe I shouldn't have spent that much time knitting that for someone. That's my first rule of gift knitting, is to consider your giftee. Are they someone that, one, knows how much knitting is important to you and knows how much you love doing it? Do they know how much work it goes into when you make hand knit items? or do they at least understand how much work goes into it? I don't think someone will fully understand unless they are also making things with their hands as well, whether that comes from like doing a more kind of like fine arts like drawing or illustrating, or they also do fiber arts. I think if someone is in that realm, they can have a better understanding and appreciation of what it means to like make someone a handmade gift for the holiday or for their birthday or whatever. The second thing is to consider, like, do they want this item? Just because it's a hand knit item doesn't mean they want it. Just consider who you're giving the gift to. Would they understand how much work that took to go into it, and would they appreciate it? I think that's a good thing to consider, and if they don't, I would scratch them off your gift knitting list. The second thing that I would consider, and this is especially if you're going to knit an article of clothing, I would maybe release the element of surprise in your gift making process. I learned this the hard way when making a sweater for my fiance. He was my boyfriend at the time, because I really wanted just to like shock him and surprise him with a hand knit sweater for Christmas. I think if it was more like of a consultative process where either he asked for one or I said, hey, I really want to make you a sweater, is like that's something that you would want for Christmas, and then we could talk about like picking out colors and yarns and patterns together, and I could get your measurements. I would recommend doing that. I think sometimes people think that the surprise takes away from the specialness of an item. I don't necessarily believe that, and I think that it will take a lot of guessing and stress out of your process if you can understand the person's preferences for fiber, for color, and especially for the pattern and how it would fit them. I kind of made some educated guesses, especially on how the sweater would fit my fiance, but I think honestly he doesn't wear it that much because it doesn't fit him super well. It's like kind of tight in the arms and like a little short. That's another thing that I would just release the want or need to surprise someone, especially if you're knitting them a wearable item where fit and measurements really come into play in the construction of that item. Third rule is to pick a practical yarn. Now, this doesn't really apply if you're knitting for another knitter who like really appreciates the really fancy yarns, but in most cases I would recommend going superwash for gift knits, doing acrylic wool blends for gift knits, things that are easy to care for and that are kind of hard to mess up. So a lot of people like don't really appreciate or like love an 100% wool sweater. That's not me, but I can understand if you're not used to wearing like fully wool or like really rustic sweaters, you might not want to wear it as much. Some yarns that I love to use for gift knitting are Lion brand woolies. They have a worsted weight and a thick and quick version. The thick and quick is great for knit hats or chunky headbands in the winter. I also really enjoyed using the Two of Wands Hue and Me acrylic. I found this to be a very soft, squishy, non-plasticky, non-squeaky acrylic yarn from Joann's. And another one that I like for a superwash wool is the Swish line from Knit Picks. It's a superwash merino wool, and it's on the more affordable side. So if you do want to go like the full wool option, superwash won't be as scratchy and it's easier for them to take care of. You don't have to worry about them shrinking or felting them in the dryer or something like that. If you have someone that like loves 100% wool things, knows how to care for them, go ahead, knit them that 100% wool sweater. But if you're either also just going for like accessories or like little bits and bobs, which we'll get into, like definitely save your money here. Like that's also kind of the nice thing about gift knitting is you can get really sweet, thoughtful gifts and you don't necessarily have to break the bank. And one place where you can really save is in the yarn that you're using. The last rule is something that's kind of unspoken but bears repeating, and that's you don't have to knit anything for someone that you don't want to. I know that feeling where maybe you're talking about like a sweater or a scarf you just knit with a family member or a friend, and they're like, when are you gonna knit something for me? And it's like, probably never. I don't know what to tell you. Like, how do I say this in the most friendly way? Unlikely. Just because someone asks you to knit something doesn't mean that you have to knit it for someone. I definitely said no to a few folks, and I just kind of explained to them I really don't often make sweaters for other people, but I'd be happy to make you something else, like something smaller. If you wanted a sweater down the line, like maybe when I have more time, or maybe one day when I get tired of making things for myself, like I'll decide to do that. Don't be afraid to like set that boundary and like don't knit something just because it was expected of you. As a people pleaser myself, I just felt the need to emphasize that. Maybe you don't have that problem. Those are the things I've learned over the years of things to keep in mind when you're deciding who to gift knit for and what you're deciding to gift knit, and like what yarns or materials you're going to be using when you decide to knit those items. I want to take you through a few different categories of things that you could knit, as well as some free pattern ideas, from the least amount of time it will take to knit to the most. At some point in my life, I have gift knit these things for others. I think one of the most festive and easy things that you can make for others are ornaments for someone's Christmas tree, or maybe ornaments for a holiday garland. I made sweater ornaments a few years back for some family members and they were a big hit. I really like making little ornaments, and one day I would love to have a full tree of knit ornaments. There's so many different designs and colors that you can do. I've saved a few different free options that include little mini sweater ornaments, mini mittens, a yarn basket if you're knitting an ornament for a knitter or maybe just yourself. I found one that is a partridge and a pear to do your little partridge and a pear tree if you have someone that like loves the 12 days of Christmas, or even just little winter animals. I found some reindeer and polar bears and penguins, which would be really cute additions to a Christmas tree. Also might not even have to buy new yarn. You could work from your stash for little ornaments like these. And these make great stocking stuffers, or if you have to do like a white elephant. I feel like these are very quick, easy things you can knit up in a night or two. Sometimes you end up in situations where I feel like you just like give a little gift, or you want to add something extra to a gift, or just by themselves. I think ornaments are really fun and really sweet, something that people can use for years to come and hang on their Christmas trees. The next level up from ornaments would be headgear. Headbands are a super easy gift to give to people, as well as hats. My first year that I got into knitting, I knit all of my friends these chunky knit hats with pom-poms on the top of their heads, and that was really fun for me and just like a fun project to work through during the pandemic. Those I used actually a free pattern from Sheep and Stitch. I'll link the video below. I think also little headbands are a perfect addition to a gift as well. I put a few of my favorite Purl Soho hat patterns in the bundle, my favorite being the classic cuffed hat. Just a very simple hat with a ribbed brim with a pom-pom. I've made it for kids, I've made it for adults, I've made it for babies. It ranges the head spectrum, and I find it's a really versatile pattern. You can make stripes with it. You can kind of use the stockinette section as a open palette for you, if you will, to really customize the hat and do what you'd like there. I also included a headband with some Fair Isle work as well. I want to get a little bit more involved with some color work. The next category is scarves, and you may have been wondering why I've been wearing this gray scarf inside during this video. And that little Easter egg is that this is the first gift knit I made in 2020 that got me back into knitting. I actually knit this right after meeting my current fiance, and I wanted to get him a Christmas gift. We met in October, so we didn't know each other super long, and my mom was like, why don't you knit him a scarf? And I hadn't knit in a while, and I was like, is he gonna think that's weird? Lo and behold, I knit this scarf and I sent it to him. This was kind of history, so I had to wear it in this video as a little homage to getting back into my knitting journey, and like honestly the reason why I'm sitting here and filming this video today. I put scarves a little higher just because they always take a little bit more time than you think they're going to. This specific scarf is more chunky. I think I knit this with, it's not like Lion Blair and Wooldies, but I think it's like the homespun from Joanne. It's like one of the chunky acrylic yarns from Joanne, and I just knit this in a 1x1 ribbed pattern. It's very easy, very scrunchy. I didn't know how to join yarns, so there's little knots throughout this entire thing, but it's honestly quite long, and I think I'm gonna steal this more from him. I think scarves are a great option. You don't necessarily have to worry about fit. Maybe just picking out a fun color, maybe that matches the coat or some sweaters that your giftee has. You can even, you know, of course, make a matching hat and scarf set, which would be a really sweet gift. I've knit a scarf for my now fiance. I knit one for my mom for Mother's Day. I made her the Sophie scarf, and I put some free scarf options in as well that are pretty simple. Some ribbed options, a moss stitch one, maybe I think one is more of like a kerchief, which are also very cute to knit, like cute little like neckties basically for, I mean, anyone. I would say basically anyone. I think they could look really cute, as well as some like other garter stitch shawl options, which are just like super easy but really beautiful, I think, in their simplicity. Depending on who you're knitting for, you can really kind of go crazy with your yarn choice, or you can still find something very soft and cozy at the craft store as well. Another fun item that I hadn't even considered all of these years, which is crazy considering both my brother and my dad are huge golfers, is I knit my dad a golf driver cover, a golf head cover, I don't know what they're actually called, for Father's Day this year. I knit him one in his favorite sports team's colors. We're from Pittsburgh, so of course they were in Steelers black and gold, and I even did some duplicate stitching to make like the Steelers logo on it. That was a super fun and quick gift to knit up. Again, you don't have to use super fancy yarn for one of those, and the options are really endless. You could make a whole set, because I think they don't just put them on their driver, I think they put them on like some of their irons as well. Maybe ask the golfer in your life. Maybe you can never have too many golf head covers, I'm not quite sure. But they're super easy gifts. It's kind of like knitting a weird long sock with a cute pom-pom on top. So I would definitely recommend those, and I have a free pattern of those linked in the Ravelry bundle as well. One of the most recent gifts that I made was a stuffed animal. I made the emotional support chicken for my baby cousin, which was so much fun. The emotional support chicken pattern isn't a free pattern. Included some more kind of like miniature knit buddies as some options. My favorite being the elf mouse, which is a little mouse with elf ears and clothes. Shut the front door. I feel like that'd be such a cute gift. Honestly, anyone of all ages. Do you have a whimsical friend? Do you have a niece or nephew or little nibbling? Like, it's all very cute. I also included a baby duck, a tiny little cat, and a mouse. You could make a whole family maybe for a little family member. Or again, just like, do you have a friend that loves tchotchkes, that loves little figurines? I think these would also be great little plushies gifts. You could probably even turn them into ornaments as well, just sewing a little loop on their head, or putting honestly just like a ornament hook through some of their stitches. Probably don't take as long as a scarf, but depending on the size can vary, and they can be just like a little bit more intricate and require more time and concentration. I know that the emotional support chicken was quite bigger, I think, than some of these free patterns, so it took me a while. I think that's what my thinking was when I placed it this far back in the list. Second most intensive thing that I think you can make for someone is a sweater. Just by the sheer size of it, I knit my fiance the Hot Toddy hoodie. This was by Knit A Toot. It's a paid pattern. It was really fun to knit him this sweater. I actually made a vlog about it a few years ago if you want to get something to kind of get you in the gift knitting spirit. This is where I would definitely take my own advice again, and I haven't knit someone a sweater since. I would really make it like a collaborative effort of helping someone pick a pattern, pick a yarn, pick a color, get their bust measurement, get their chest measurement, and that way you can really make sure that it's something that they'll love and that you don't have to rework or frog. It does just take a lot of work and troubleshooting sometimes to knit a sweater, so if you're wanting to surprise, you kind of like take that troubleshooting out of the equation. Maybe you don't want to have them like trying it on for the first time when you finally give it to them. Kind of like takes the surprise a little, but I still think it's equally as sweet and as meaningful. I've shared the flax sweater as a kind of long time knitting community favorite free sweater. It's a raglan sweater that you can use as a base to kind of customize anything that you'd like to for a free knitting pattern. I haven't knit it myself, but a lot of other knitters have knitted. It has so many projects on Ravelry, and there's a lot of different ways that you can customize this raglan sweater. The last and biggest category I have on this list is blankets. I've made 2 blankets for 2 people that I think are the most knit-worthy and gift-worthy people in my life. One is my great aunt and the other is my baby cousin, so like elderly folks and babies, I think you can never go wrong. I first made a crochet blanket for my great aunt about a few summers ago, and she still thanks me for this blanket like 2 years to this day. I think she really understands what it means to kind of like put your heart into something, and so she's probably been the most appreciative person that I've knit someone a gift for. And being able to knit my cousin a baby for her son as a way to welcome him into the family was really special. So I used, I believe, a TL Yarn Crafts video for the crochet blanket. I haven't crocheted much since. And then for the baby blanket, I used the Sweet Shop blanket pattern, which is a paid pattern. I've saved a wavy blanket pattern by Originally Lovely that is a great option for a crochet blanket. It's a really fun and colorful pattern that you could also size up. I would just say start your blankets as early as possible because they can really become a slog. Start knitting like a lap blanket or a baby blanket. I would recommend doing it pretty soon so you can get it out of the way. I say that and I'm someone that thrives under deadlines, but maybe you can learn from my past mistakes. This is my 2024 knitting gift guide. I'd love to know what you've gift knit in the past, or if you have any other tips on making gift knitting as satisfying and kind of like efficient as possible. Thank you so much for spending your time with me here today, and I'll look forward to seeing y'all soon. Bye!